I have created meaning for my audience using various different methods. In terms of age, my target audience is 15 to 30 years old. The reason I wouldn't aim at a younger demographic is because the films that belong to the horror genre rarely receive a 12A rating certificate from the BBFC. Some examples of films that did receive a 12A rating were The Woman in Black and The Wicker Man. More often, films receive a 15 or 18 rating certificate. Typically, a horror film would attract adolescent males. A large reason for this is due to the misrepresentation of typical male and female roles in horror films, where the male is the stereotypical dominant hero, whilst the woman is the defenseless victim who needs saving. Avenging a male victim. By challenging these stereotypical conventions, I hope to attract a larger female fan base than the average horror film. I've engaged with my audience using these 4 key methods. Sound. I have used sound to create suspense for the audience in multiple different ways. In the beginning of the opening scene, I have used the absence of music to dramatize an unsettling silence accompanied by an uneasy ticking noise of a clock, signifying the passing of time whilst putting the audience on edge. I have later used sound effects to emulate the creature growling, followed by the character's piercing scream, all added in post-production. Although audio adjustments are often minor, collectively as a whole it adds an additional dimension to the film that it would lack otherwise. Sounds add another layer the audience can connect to. Camera work. I have used camera work to engage with my audience in a number of different ways. I have several moments when the creature quickly scurries past the camera, allowing the audience to catch a glimpse of the creature's vague silhouette. This is taken from a low angle to resemble the creature's perspective. When the creature is attacking the character, it is shot in first person from the creature's perspective in a slithering S motion. Loose framing is where the mise-en-scène is spaciously distributed so that the subject has a considerable amount of space around them, signifying danger and vulnerability. I use this technique in multiple different shots. Editing. Editing is an obvious integral part of the process, allowing me to morph all the footage I have shot together, helping it come alive. There are many different techniques used throughout the opening sequence. After all the primary work, which involves cropping footage together, there are several processes I needed to go through to acquire the outcome I wanted. I added a moody filter that contrasted all my shots to bring out a bluish hue, adding that horror element. I changed the proportions of the opening sequence to imitate a wide screen, the same proportions a big Hollywood blockbuster would be shot in. When the perspective changed to the creature's first-person perspective, I added a distorted image mask combined with a vignette attempting to imitate some form of otherworldly serpent's vision. When the creature attacks the character, I use a series of rapid shots of the character struggling frantically, however avoid focusing on the character to escape having to reveal the creature's appearance. Mise-en-scène. I have used mise-en-scène in several ways. To begin with, what the character's wearing, dressed in a formal blue button-down shirt, a grey suit and leather shoes, implies he's some form of working man. Assuming he owns the house implied by his relaxed demeanour, swinging open the fridge to get a drink, would again imply he's some form of businessman. Certainly a well-respected, revered character. When filming the final scene, it was critical that I accomplished the exact look I had pictured, attempting to imitate the iconic carpet in The Shining, where the carpet's orange, brown, and red colorway and mesmerizing graphic pattern leap out at the audience. I found a carpet which I thought would give off a comparable effect on viewers. Distribution is made up of 2 key distinctive components. The first is advertising. Since I intend for my movie to replicate a big-budget Hollywood blockbuster, that is the course of advertising my film would inevitably follow. A big traditional marketing campaign. Such a marketing campaign will therefore include a range of multiple different posters which will be advertised in all locations ranging from bus stops, high street billboards, buses, and cinemas, most probably a significant amount of time in advance. A trailer, again released early, for example, this would be screened in front of other horror movies at the cinema. My film would have a large social media presence, advertising on different platforms that teenagers most frequently use, like YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. This also allows producers to gain feedback of how the audience feel. The second half of distribution is delivery. The film would hold a large premiere with A-list celebrities attending to build hype around the release, causing a larger amount of people to become notified that the film is being screened the next day. This film would most definitely have a limited IMAX release, since, as opposed to a superhero film that has been anticipated for often years in advance. Therefore, in fact, a limited release would help generate more of a buzz around the release. Since this film is a big-budget Hollywood blockbuster, the film would be released in large multiplexes where it would generate the most income rather than small independent art house or independent cinemas. After several months, it would then be distributed on streaming services such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, Sky Box Office, and Virgin On Demand, where it would be placed for larger consumption permanently.